The rain hammered the roof like it had something to prove, a relentless drumbeat that should have lulled me under, but instead clawed at the edges of my dreams. I was drifting somewhere between the whiskey haze of last night's glass and the cold grip of dawn when I heard it, soft, ragged, like a plea swallowed whole. Wyatt. Not Dad. Not even Harlan. Just my name, laced with a hunger that yanked me bolt upright, heart slamming against my ribs as thunder cracked the sky open. Finn stood in the doorway of my room, his silhouette swallowed by the shadows, but I knew it was him before the lightning flashed and carved his face into sharp relief. 22 years old, all lean muscle and restless energy, his dark hair damp from the storm he'd wandered into, sticking to his forehead in defiant curls. Those green eyes, inherited from his mother, my late wife, God rest her, locked on mine with a desperation that mirrored the ache I'd buried deep since the day we scattered her ashes off the cliffs of Haven Point. He wasn't supposed to be here, not like this, not in the dead of night with his shirt clinging to his chest like a second skin, breath coming in shallow bursts that said he'd run from whatever demon chased him down the hall. I swung my legs over the edge of the bed, the floorboards groaning under my weight like they remembered better days. Finn? What the hell? It's 2 a.m. You okay? My voice came out rougher than I intended, scraped raw from disuse, but he didn't flinch. Instead, he stepped forward, the door clicking shut behind him with a finality that sealed us in together. The air thickened, charged with the scent of wet earth and salt from the sea crashing just beyond our backyard, the old Harlan house creaking like it held its breath. He didn't answer right away. His hands flexed at his sides, knuckles white, as if he were fighting the urge to reach out or bolt. Lightning flickered again, illuminating the faint scar above his left eyebrow, the one from that dumb bike crash when he was 14, the summer before Sarah got sick. I'd patched him up myself that night, my hands steady on his skin for the first time without the buffer of her laughter in the kitchen. Now, here he was, a man grown, and the boy I'd raised as my own stared at me like I was the only anchor in his storm. I couldn't sleep, he finally muttered, voice low and cracked, like gravel under tires. The rain. It reminds me of her. Of everything. He swallowed hard, Adam's apple bobbing, and took another step closer. The space between us shrank to nothing, his knee brushing mine as he dropped onto the bed's edge, close enough that I could feel the heat radiating off him, cutting through the chill that had seeped into my bones. Sarah. Her name hung unspoken, a ghost in the room we'd shared until grief hollowed it out. She'd married me 5 years before the cancer came calling, brought Finn into the fold when he was just a wide-eyed kid from her first mistake, a fleeting thing with some drifter in Portland. I'd signed the papers without a second thought, loved him fierce and quiet, the way you love the son fate hands you on a silver platter. But after she was gone, Haven Point's endless winters turned our home into a mausoleum, and Finn had pulled away, burying himself in night shifts at the docks, coming home smelling of fish and regret. I reached out, instinct more than thought, my palm landing on his shoulder, solid, warm, alive. Hey, talk to me. What's eating you? But even as the words left my mouth, I felt the shift, the way his body leaned into the touch, not away. His eyes dropped to my hand, then flicked back up, pupils blown wide in the low light, and something twisted low in my gut, a spark I hadn't let myself name in years, not since the confused fumblings of my own youth in this godforsaken town. He shook his head, a bitter laugh escaping. It's stupid. Just dreams. The kind that don't let go. His fingers ghosted over mine, tentative, like testing ice over a frozen lake. And then, before I could pull back or make sense of the thunder in my veins, he closed the gap, his lips crashing into mine with the force of the gale outside. It was fire and salt, and everything I'd forbidden myself to want. His mouth tasted like rain and desperation, hands fisting in my shirt as if I'd vanish if he let go. I froze for a heartbeat, too, my mind screaming this was wrong. He was family, blood or not, but my body betrayed me, arms wrapping around his waist, pulling him closer until he was straddling my lap, the bed dipping under our weight. The kiss deepened, tongues tangling in a rhythm that felt ancient, inevitable, like the tide pulling us under. When we broke apart, gasping, his forehead pressed to mine, eyes searching mine for absolution or condemnation, I couldn't tell which. Wyatt. He whispered again, my name a prayer and a curse. I think I'm broken. Or maybe I'm just seeing clear for the first time. The storm raged on, but in that moment, Haven Point's secrets cracked wide open, and nothing would ever be the same. I lay there long after he'd slipped back to his room, the echo of his touch burning like a brand on my skin. Dawn crept in gray and unforgiving, painting the walls in muted blues, and I stared at the ceiling cracks that mapped out our fractured lives like some cruel constellation. What the hell had I done? Finn was Sarah's boy, my boy, in every way that mattered. 20 years of guiding him through scraped knees and heartbreak, teaching him to mend lobster traps and face down the Atlantic's fury. And now this. A kiss that tasted like betrayal, stirring embers I'd doused long ago under the weight of convention and small-town stares. Haven Point wasn't kind to outliers. Tucked on Maine's jagged coast, it was a cluster of salt-weathered clapboard houses and lobster shacks, where summers brought tourists chasing lobster rolls and fall foliage. But winters? Winters stripped you bare, forcing truths into the light you couldn't hide behind flannel and folklore. I'd grown up here, son of a fisherman who drank more than he hauled, learning early that love was a luxury you bartered for in back rooms or buried deep. My own flings, brief, shadowed things with guys from away, had taught me that much. But Sarah had been my redemption, soft curves and steady hands that made me believe in straight lines and white picket fences. Until she didn't. Until the chemo hollowed her cheeks and Finn's laughter faded from the halls. Now, with him across the hall, tangled in sheets that probably still smelled like his cologne, pine and sea salt, I felt the walls closing in. I dragged myself up, splashed cold water on my face in the bathroom mirror, avoiding the man staring back. 45, broad-shouldered from years of hauling crates, but eyes haunted like a man who'd lost his compass. Downstairs, the kitchen was a relic of better days. Linoleum floors scarred from Finn's childhood spills, the oak table where Sarah used to sketch her watercolor maps of the bay. I brewed coffee strong enough to strip paint, the percolator hissing like it disapproved, and stepped onto the back porch. The rain had eased to a drizzle, mist rolling off the cliffs like smoke from a dying fire. Haven Point stretched below, the harbor dotted with buoys bobbing like forgotten wishes, the lighthouse at Ridge Point blinking its eternal warning. Footsteps creaked behind me. Finn. He paused in the doorway, hands shoved in his jeans pockets, looking every bit the dockhand he was, faded Henley hugging his frame, boots scuffed from the wharf. "Morning," he said, voice neutral, but his eyes darted away, cheeks flushed under the scruff. "Morning." I handed him a mug, our fingers brushing, electric, unavoidable. He took it, sipping slow, and we stood there in the damp quiet, the unspoken hanging heavier than the fog. Last night replayed in fragments. The heat of his mouth, the way he'd arched into me, a soft moan that echoed in my skull. I wanted to apologize, to blame the storm, the grief, anything but the truth gnawing at me, that I'd wanted it too. God help me. About last night. I started, clearing my throat. We were raw. Sarah's been gone 2 years today. Anniversaries hit hard. He nodded, gaze fixed on the horizon where the sea met sky in a bruised purple line. Yeah, 2 years. His voice cracked on the edges. I miss her. But it's not just that, Wyatt. It's everything piling up. The job's killing me. Endless shifts. Guys giving me shit because I'm not one of them. Not really. And then there's you. He turned then, eyes locking on mine, fierce and unguarded. You've been here, holding it all together. But I see you falling apart too. Last night. It felt right. In the middle of all this wrong. My chest tightened, words failing me. How do you tell the kid you've raised that he's unraveling you? That his touch unlocked doors you'd bolted shut? Finn, your family. More than that, you're the best part of her I have left. But this? It's a line we can't uncross without consequences. Haven Point talks. And I don't know if I can be what you need. He stepped closer, close enough that his breath warmed my neck, the mug forgotten on the railing. What if I need you to be what you are? Not Dad, not the hero, just Wyatt. His hand found my arm, thumb tracing a vein, and the world narrowed to that point of contact, pulse racing under his skin. I pulled away, not gently, the coffee sloshing over the rim. I need time. We both do. The words tasted like ash, but they were necessary, a dam against the flood. He nodded, hurt flickering before he schooled it, grabbing his jacket from the hook. Shift starts soon. See you tonight. He was gone before I could call him back, truck rumbling down the gravel drive toward the docks. I sank into the porch chair, head in hands, the anniversary date mocking me from the calendar inside. Sarah would have known what to say, her laugh cutting through the tension like sunlight. But she was ash in the wind, and I was left navigating this minefield alone. The day dragged, a blur of errands in town. Picking up bait at Millie's General, nodding to old-timers at the post office who eyed me with that pitying look. "How you holding up, Harlan?" As if grief had a shelf life. Haven Point's Main Street was a postcard of Americana faded at the edges. The diner with its neon, open, sign flickering like a heartbeat. The bookstore crammed with dog-eared Stephen King paperbacks. The barber shop where buzzcuts and gossip flowed equal measure. By afternoon, I found myself at the cemetery on the hill overlooking the bay, wildflowers nodding in the breeze. Sarah's stone was simple, granite etched with her name and dates, a quote from Whitman she'd loved. "I am large. I contain multitudes." I traced the letters, the chills seeping through my fingers. "What would you do, love? He's your boy. Our boy." No answer, just the gulls crying overhead. But as I sat there, the pieces shifted, memories of Finn as a teen, the way he'd linger after Sarah's bedtime stories, eyes on me with a curiosity that went beyond father-son. The hugs that lasted a beat too long. I'd chalked it up to loss, to him clinging to the last stable thing in his world. But now it felt like foreshadowing, a story we'd been writing without realizing. Dusk fell early, the sky bruising purple as I drove home, headlights cutting through the gathering dark. The house loomed, windows glowing. Finn must have beaten me back. Inside, the smell of clam chowder simmering on the stove hit me like a memory, Sarah's recipe that he'd mastered in her absence. He was at the counter, chopping parsley with focused fury, sleeves rolled up to reveal forearms corded from hauling pots. "Dinner?" I asked, hanging my keys. He glanced up, a half-smile ghosting his lips. Figured we'd need it. Anniversary and all. No mention of mourning, but the air hummed with it. We ate in near silence, spoons clinking against bowls, the radio murmuring old Springsteen tunes, fitting, all that blue-collar ache. After, he cleared the table, our shoulders brushing in the tight space, and I caught his scent again, that damn pine that twisted something deep. "Wyatt." His voice pulled me from the sink, where I was scrubbing like it could wash away the day. He was closer than I realized, hip against the counter, eyes dark with intent. "Stop running. From me. From this." I set the plate down, water dripping from my hands. "It's not running. It's protecting us both." "From what?" "Happiness. Because that's what this feels like." He cupped my face, rough palms gentle, and kissed me again, not the frantic storm of last night, but slow, deliberate, like he was memorizing me. I melted into it, hands finding his waist, the counter digging into my back as he pressed forward. We stumbled upstairs, shedding clothes like old skin, his shirt over the banister, my belt buckle clattering on the stairs. In my room, the bed welcomed us, sheets tangling as bodies aligned. Exploration tentative at first, then urgent. His skin was fever-hot under my mouth, gasps filling the space where words failed. It was messy, real, sweat and whispers, the creak of floorboards protesting our rhythm. After, we lay spent, his head on my chest, fingers tracing lazy patterns on my stomach. "I love you," he murmured, voice thick with sleep. "Not like a son. Like this." The words lodged in my throat, a confession I wasn't ready to voice. Love, or lust born of loneliness. But as his breathing evened, I held him tighter, the rain a soft lullaby outside. For the first time in years, the house felt less empty. Morning brought clarity's cruel edge. Finn left for work with a kiss that lingered, but doubt crept in as I wandered the empty rooms. What were we doing? He was young, unscarred by the world's judgments. I was the relic, carrying Sarah's ghost like a chain. Haven Point's whispers would turn to shouts soon enough. Old man Harlan and the boy he'd raised? Scandal enough to sink us. I threw myself into work at the boatyard, sanding hulls until my arms ached, the salt air stinging my eyes. Cole, my foreman, a burly vet with a mustache like a broom, clapped my shoulder at lunch. "You look like hell, Wyatt. Anniversary got you twisted?" Something like that. I forced a grin, but his eyes narrowed, sharp as a gaff hook. "Whatever it is, shake it off. Life's too short for ghosts." If only he knew. Evening found me at the Anchor, Haven Point's dive bar, nursing a pint amid the hum of locals swapping tall tales. The jukebox crooned Patsy Cline, and I spotted Tyler across the room, Finn's old high school buddy, all easy charm and craft beer. He slid onto the stool next to me, clapping my back. "Harlan, haven't seen you in ages. How's the kid? Finn still terrorizing the docks?" I nodded, throat tight. "Doing all right. Keeps busy." Tyler leaned in, voice dropping. Heard he's been off. Quiet like. You notice? Concern etched his face, genuine, but it twisted the knife. How much did people see? He's navigating, I said, evasive. Aren't we all? We talked shop for a bit. Lobster quotas, the new regs from Augusta, but my mind wandered to Finn, waiting at home, probably pacing like I was. When I got back, the house was dark save for the porch light, his truck parked crooked in the drive. Inside, he was on the couch, sketchpad in lap, Sarah's old one, filled with his own drawings now, waves crashing, faces half-shadowed. Missed you, he said, setting it aside, pulling me down beside him. His kiss was fire, hands roaming with newfound confidence, and we lost ourselves again, the world shrinking to touch and taste. But as we caught our breath, tangled in throw blankets, he propped on an elbow, eyes serious. I want more than stolen nights, Wyatt. I want us. Out there. My stomach dropped. Out there, men exposure, judgment, the kind that broke men like me. It's not that simple. This town, it chews up different. I'm different, he shot back, fire in his voice. And so are you. We don't have to hide. The argument simmered, words sharp as hooks, until he stormed upstairs, door slamming like thunder. I sat in the dark, the weight of it all crashing down. Love or ruin. The line blurred, and Haven Point watched, waiting for the fall. Weeks blurred into a fragile rhythm, nights of whispered confessions and dawn departures, days of stolen glances at the market or wharf. Finn bloomed under it, his sketches turning vibrant, laughter returning like sunlight after storm. Me? I walked a tightrope, heart pounding at every creak of the floor, every neighbor's knowing nod. Then came the letter, from Portland, of all places. Finn's biological father, Elias Kane, a name Sarah had uttered only in passing, drunk on wine one night. Ghost from the past, she'd called him, but now he was real, a lawyer in a suit, claiming interest after all these years. I'd like to meet my son. The words stared up from the page, formal and cold. Finn read it over breakfast, face paling. What the hell? Now, after 22 years of nothing. I reached for his hand across the table. You don't have to. It's your call. But doubt seated, Elias, with his city polish and absent scars, a reminder that I was borrowed time, not blood. That night, as we lay together, his touch was hesitant, questions in his eyes. Do you think he'd approve of us? I pulled him close, burying the ache. Doesn't matter. You're mine. But lies have short legs, and Elias arrived unannounced on a crisp October Saturday, rental car gleaming like an insult in our dirt drive. Tall, silver fox handsome, with Finn's eyes but none of his fire, Elias Kane shook my hand with a grip like wet fish, surveying the house like it was a curiosity. Finn's told me so much, he lied smoothly, as we sat in the living room, coffee steaming untouched. Finn fidgeted beside me, knee bouncing, the air thick with unspoken. We talked lineage, skipped stones over the years Elias had missed. Finn's first steps, prom night fumble, Sarah's funeral. I regret not being there, Elias said, voice oiled. But life's twists, you know. Now, with some stability, I'd like to make amends. Perhaps Finn could visit, see the firm, the city life. Finn's gaze flicked to me, pleading. I nodded fractionally, throat tight. Up to him. The visit stretched, dinners at the diner, Elias spinning tales of boardrooms and beach houses in California. Finn soaked it up, hunger in his eyes for roots I couldn't give. Jealousy gnawed, ugly and unfamiliar, as I watched them laugh over shared features, a bond biology forged. One night, after Elias left for his motel, Finn cornered me in the kitchen. He's not so bad. Kinda. Fills a hole. I slammed the cabinet, glass rattling. And what about us? You gonna tell Daddy Dearest about your stepdad warming your bed? Hurt flashed. Don't make this dirty, Wyatt. It's not. Isn't it? The words exploded, years of fear spilling out. I'm the interloper here, the guy who played house while he was out conquering. And now, you're slipping away, and I'm left holding the pieces. He grabbed my shirt, yanking me close. I'm not going anywhere. But you have to trust this. Trust me. His kiss was fierce, claiming, but it tasted of fracture. Elias stayed a week, the house no longer ours. Conversations laced with subtext, my place shrinking. On his last night, over chowder at the Anchor, he pulled me aside while Finn hit the head. You're a good man, Wyatt. Raised him right. But he's got options now. Bigger world. Don't hold him back. The words landed like punches. That night, alone in bed, Finn curled into me, but sleep evaded. Betrayal? No, not yet. But the seed was planted, roots twisting deep. November winds howled, stripping leaves from the maples lining Ridge Valley Road. Elias's visits became weekly, drives to Portland for lunches that stretched to evenings, Finn returning flushed with stories of galleries and high-rises. "It's like another life," he'd say, eyes distant, and I'd nod, swallowing the bitterness, our nights together turning frantic, like grasping at smoke. I threw myself into the boatyard, Cole noticing the edge in my swings. "Spill it, Harlan. You're grinding like the devil's on your tail." "Just life?" I muttered, but he wasn't buying, pulling me into the office for a beer at quitting time. "Words out," he said finally, mustache twitching. "About you and the boy. Folks talk. Saw you two at the market, too close." Elias stirring the pot. My blood ran cold. "Gossip. More than that. Tyler mentioned something to me." Heard in his voice, like betrayal. Cole's eyes softened. "You deserve good, Wyatt. But this? Town will eat you alive." I left reeling, driving the cliffs where Sarah and I used to park, stars pricking the velvet sky. The sea churned below, indifferent. Was this love, or destruction dressed pretty? Finn's laughter with Elias echoed in my head, a reminder of my place. Caretaker, not constant. Home was quiet, Finn sketching by lamplight, but tension crackled. "Elias wants me to come for Thanksgiving. Meet his partner, some architect. Says it's family." Family. The word stung. And us? We going as the dirty secret. He slammed the pad shut. "Stop. It's not like that. He's trying, Wyatt. Like you did." I gave everything. The shout echoed, raw. "Sarah gone, and I stayed, for you. Built this from ashes. And now you're trading it for suits and skyscrapers." Tears welled in his eyes, mirroring mine. "I'm not trading. But I need to know who I am beyond this house, beyond us, if that's all there is." The fight escalated, words like barbs, my insecurities, his confusions, until he grabbed his keys, storming out into the night. "I need air." Hours ticked by, phone silent. Panic clawed, visions of his truck off the road, cliffs claiming another Harlan. When headlights swept the drive at midnight, relief flooded, chased by dread. But it wasn't Finn. Elias stepped in, coat dusted with frost, face grim. He came to me, upset, told me everything. My world tilted. "What? Us? You too." Disgust curled his lip, but worse, pity. "Wyatt, this is wrong. Sick, even. He's vulnerable, grieving. You're the adult here." Rage boiled. "You don't know shit about us." "I know enough. And I'll be damned if I let it continue." He straightened, cold as the grave. "Finn's coming with me. Tonight. To Portland. Until he sees clear." The door flew open then. Finn, eyes red-rimmed, bag slung over shoulder. Wyatt, heartbreak in his voice, but resolve too. "You believe him?" I choked. "After one story from a stranger?" "He's not. Dad's right. It's messed up. I need space. To figure out who I am without you holding the strings." Betrayal hit like a rogue wave, sucking air from lungs. "Strings? I loved you. Gave you roots. And now I need wings." He crossed to Elias, who clapped his shoulder, fatherly, possessive. The door shut behind them, engine fading into the gale. I sank to the floor, sobs racking, the house echoing empty. Haven Point's wind howled judgment, and in that void, truth crystallized. Love wasn't possession. It was release, even if it shattered you. Winter gripped Haven Point like a vice, snow blanketing the cliffs in indifferent white. Days bled into weeks, boatyard shifts blurring, nights staring at the ceiling where Finn's ghost lingered in every shadow. Cole covered for me. No questions, but the town buzzed. Harlan's boy run off with the fancy dad, left the old man in the dust. Whispers at Millie's, stares at the post office. I walked taller, chin up, but inside hollowed. Letters came sporadic. Finn's scrawl on Portland stationery, words careful, settling in. Classes at the community college. Art, like Mom wanted. Miss the sea. Miss you. No mention of US, of the fire we'd kindled. Elias's shadow loomed in subtext, a caution I ignored until the call. It was New Year's Eve, fireworks popping distant over the bay. Phone rang at 10, Finn's voice tinny through the line. "Wyatt? God, it's good to hear you. You too, kid." The endearment slipped out, natural as breath. Silence stretched, loaded. I told Elias to back off. "About us. It's my life." Relief warred with wariness. "And I'm coming home. For good. Need to see the lighthouse at dawn. Clear my head." Heart stuttered. Doors open. He arrived at midnight, snow-dusted, pulling me into a hug that cracked the ice in my chest. No words at first, just holding, the world narrowing to heartbeat sync. Upstairs, it was tentative, kisses soft, hands rediscovering paths. I love you, he whispered finally, eyes clear. All of you. No ghosts. We made love slow, reverent, reclaiming what distance had stolen. Dawn found us on the porch, wrapped in quilts, lighthouse beams sweeping like forgiveness. Haven Point stirred below, unyielding but ours. Months unfurled gentle. Finn's art show in town, my hand in his under the gallery lights, stares met with steady gazes. Elias called once, terse, if this is what you want. It was. Summer brought heat and healing. Picnics on the cliffs, sketches of us tangled in waves. Love, raw and real, bloomed defiant. We weren't perfect. Arguments over paint-splattered floors, my gruff silences met with his fire. But in the quiet, it was profound. Two men forging family from fracture. One evening, as sunset bled orange over the bay, Finn turned from his easel, paint on his cheek. We made it, Wyatt. Through the storm. I pulled him close, salt on my lips. Yeah, and whatever comes, we face it together. In Haven Point's embrace, harsh, beautiful, we found freedom, to love without apology, to be large, containing multitudes. Sarah's spirit whispered approval in the wind, and for the first time, I believed in second chances.